Hi, let's talk about how corrupt the CBC is this election season. We all know the CBC is funded by taxpayers to the tune of $1.6 billion a year. A little history. Under Trudeau, the CBC received a $150 million boost in the 2016 federal budget, which reversed a $115 million annual funding cut imposed by the Conservative government led by Stephen Harper. Essentially, the CBC is a weaponized media conglomerate that caters directly to their cash cow, the Liberal government. There couldn't be a more obvious example than the Trudeau Blackface story. Here was an analysis headline on their website when the Blackface story broke. Brownface photo challenges Trudeau to prove who he really is. Really? This is their take? Imagine for a second this is anyone else donning blackface. Do you think they get a pass like this? Come on, what a bunch of partisan suck-ups. And did you catch how fast the CBC wanted to move on from this shitstorm? While American media was still talking about Trudeau's blackface debacle a few days later, CBC was in cleanup mode for Trudeau, trying to sweep the whole incident under the rug. Now get this, the CBC decided to target the person who leaked the yearbook photo to Time magazine. Watch this.
For 9 days, Vancouver businessman Michael Adamson has been a ghost, not returning phone calls, nowhere to be found. Silent after releasing the now infamous photo of Justin Trudeau in blackface and turban, found in a yearbook from West Point Grey Academy, the private Vancouver school where Trudeau taught back in 2001. Today, Adamson resurfaced, pulling into the back of his Vancouver home in his luxury SUV, but refusing to emerge from his garage when CBC News tried to talk to him.
Okay, Mr. Adamson, I just would like to ask...
I have no comment beyond what I've said. So, like I said, I respect what you have to do, but I have no further comments.
What Adamson did have to say today came through a press release, speaking to his motivation for releasing the 18-year-old photo during the election campaign. Quote, as a past member of the West Point Grey Academy community, I had been aware of the gossip surrounding the existence of this photograph and was in a position to provide a copy of it from the school yearbook to the Time reporter. CBC News has learned Adamson's son attended a New York State university with the young journalist who broke the story in Time. I am not and have never been a member of a political party. I received no payment for releasing this photograph. My decision was motivated solely by the belief the Canadian public had the right to see it. Adamson says that statement will serve as the only comment he'll be making on the matter. CBC News has been unable to find any record of Adamson or any family member making a contribution to a political party. Eric Rankin, CBC News, Vancouver.
What the fuck? Are we living in clown country? The CBC gets billions to fund their journalism. Why didn't they track the yearbook down themselves? Isn't that their job? It was on the internet for 2 decades for anyone to find. No interest, eh, CBC? Can't upset your boss, I guess. But even worse, they spent more time tracking down the guy who sent the photo to Time magazine than they did Googling the photo themselves. Think about that. Trudeau has been in politics for years, first as an MP, now as PM. In all that time, no investigative journalist was interested in digging up dirt on Trudeau Sr.'s son. It's no wonder the guy sent the picture to the American publication. He probably guessed that our partisan media, including the CBC, would bury it, much like they did with the whole Trudeau Kokanee Groper incident. They aren't an honest organization, and the guy who leaked the photo knew it. By far, the worst part about this whole thing is that this is a clear violation of journalism ethics. They essentially doxed this guy. If you don't know, to dox someone means search for and publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. Keywords there, malicious intent. They showed his house, his car, his face, his name, making sure the public is able to identify him now. So when he leaves his house, he's got a bounty on his head, thanks to the CBC. We all know how radical these progressives can be. There's a chance the leaker could encounter violence from an angry voter seeking revenge against the publication of controversial photos. What if something happens to this guy? Is the CBC going to be liable now? They have clearly targeted what they perceive to be a political opponent. That is malicious intent. It's time to defund this corrupt and biased organization for good. We all know the reason why they aired this story: to frighten people into silence. That's right. You've got damaging goods on Trudeau? Well, you better not say anything. Otherwise, the billion-dollar taxpayer-funded national broadcaster will publicly shame and dox you. Do you really think if Scheer or Bernier was found in compromising blackface photos, the CBC would be hellbent on announcing who the leaker of the photos was? I bet it wouldn't even come up because they'd be so focused on eating Scheer or Bernier alive over their so-called racism, they wouldn't care. There's no doubt the CBC would be a lot more interested in the blackface photos themselves, not the leaker of the photos, which is a non-issue in comparison. I'm not happy they've exposed the guy who leaked the photos. I think it's criminal, but now that they have, I think he's a national hero. And the CBC has once again proved what a bunch of schmucks they are. Defund them now.